OB, you brought to my attention he didn't have Isaiah Spiller in his top 25 players in the SEC. He did, I believe, have more Aggies than other schools, if I remember correctly. He did have Anias. He had Marv. He had Kenyon. But as I was preparing just to get my mind right for the interview, I noticed on the Google machine that a lot of people don't have Isaiah Spiller as high as I would. And it kind of caught me off guard. Good morning to you, by the way.
Good morning. I was caught off guard at first, too, and try to understand it. I think Isaiah Spiller established himself last year and the year before, for that matter, as one of the better running backs in the nation, not just the SEC. So it does take me by surprise when you're going to rank top 25 players in the SEC, but you would, and don't include Isaiah Spiller. But then to say if you were ranking the top 5 running backs in the SEC, somebody would say he would be 5th at best, behind Christian Rodriguez and Kevin Harris and Hank Bigsby and Jerry and Ely. And I
don't see it that way.
I don't see it that way.
But a lot of people see it that way. I'm telling you, like, I'm right on Athlons Athlons. Bijan Robinson, number 1. Jahmyr Gibbs, number 2. Eric Gray, number 3. Now, this is more on the fantasy side of things, but regardless, production. Here, top 10 running backs in 2021 Sleeper Watch from Pro Football Focus. They break down everybody. You've got Bijan Robinson. You've got Frank Gore Jr., 10. Tyler Algier from BYU. Chris Rodriguez at 8. I'm still waiting. Max Borghi from Washington State. Breece Hall. I'm waiting to see Jerry and Ely, Ole Miss. Brian Robinson out of Alabama, who has not really been a starter for them. He's had to wait his turn. Kennedy Brooks out of Oklahoma. Okay, I'm sure I'm going to Deuce Vaughn out of Kansas State. Tank Bigsby out of Auburn. I see these names, OB, and I have respect for a lot of these players. I think Isaiah's on that same echelon or higher. And maybe I'm drinking the maroon juice.
No, I don't think it's that. Isaiah Spiller rushed for 1,036 yards last year. Remember, number 1, he didn't start the season as the number 1 running back. He came in at halftime, I think, of Vanderbilt, ran for 117 yards on 8 carries. And I know that's not a big deal. It's Vanderbilt, but he was splitting some time and some carries with Anias Smith, and then came A-Chain, and he had some injuries, and he did not get the luxury of running against Ole Miss, which, I would have thought he would have a great chance at 200+ against Ole Miss,
sure.
One of the worst rushing defenses in the country. So I try to look at all things from all angles. And so if I was looking to say, okay, I don't think Isaiah Spiller is going to have a great year this year, maybe I would base it. Again, I'm not saying this is the case for my opinion, but I'm just kind of trying to think what they're thinking. Maybe I would base it on, I have questions about the offensive line and a quarterback, and therefore, as a defense, I would think I'm going to stack the box against the run to take away Isaiah Spiller, and maybe there are those that think that they will be able to do that, and therefore he won't have a great year.
Yeah, I really expected, and again, I've been in College Station now a little bit over a month. I have immersed myself in just A&M stuff, right? That's it. That's everything around me, SEC A&M stuff. And everybody that I talked to at SEC Media Days, all the research, all the things that I've seen with my own eyeballs, I think he's one of your top 5 running backs in college football. And he may have to prove it to people out there. And maybe people take points away because, well, you're in a loaded backfield, you're going to split time, and maybe they're basing it on stats. Maybe they're basing it on the offensive line, as you said that right there. But I'm looking at what he's done in a couple seasons. 1,900 yards, 19 touchdowns on the ground in 2019 and 2020. That seems like a lot to me.
Look, I saw that Ventrell Miller of Florida is, I think he's a preseason All-SEC linebacker. And I saw Isaiah Spiller absolutely truck him and run over him and then run for 19 yards for a touchdown. I mean, what are you looking for? The only thing that Isaiah Spiller doesn't have is just elite
top
speed.
end speed.
Top
right?
end speed. Now,
Yeah.
is he fast? Yeah, he's
Yeah.
fast enough. But he's shifty. He runs with power. He really cuts, especially right after he gets the ball, cuts away and finds the hole. I'm a fan of his, and I don't see where the disrespect, so to speak, comes from. I mean, I see a lot of people rank Kevin Harris from South Carolina ahead of him, and I like Kevin Harris a lot. I was impressed with him, but more than half of his yardage came in 3 games against Ole Miss, one of the worst run defenses in the country, Vanderbilt, and Kentucky.
Right.
I mean, more than half. He was over 200 against Ole Miss and against Kentucky, and then he had like 170 against Vanderbilt. And that's more than half of your yardage production. And you're going to say, that guy's better than Isaiah Spiller. I ain't buying.
Yeah, I'm not buying it either. And then again, I got to remind myself that people don't watch Texas A&M the way we do and what we've been able to see over the last couple of years. But I still think, statistically speaking, what NFL scouts are saying, just watching his sheer body of work, everything we've seen him do, to me, now again, rankings are rankings, and I hate to make the show about it. This guy had him here, and this, but it more than anything was an educational experiment for me. Like, really? People see it that way? There's other positions I can understand. I was blown away by he not being in the top 3 of everybody's list.
Again, as I try to look at it from all sides, and I wonder if A-Chain's Orange Bowl emergence, of course, he had already emerged because he had a great game against Auburn, but everybody saw that if you follow college football, and maybe you come away saying, see how good that offensive line was, anybody could run behind it. Again, I'm trying to come up with what the reasoning would be. What would you see that would not move you to put Isaiah Spiller even in your top 10 or top 20?
Yep. And I haven't gone through the exercise myself of ranking every running back in college football and okay, see Isaiah's too. I haven't done that exercise, and I can imagine it being difficult when there's a large group of people that you feel that they're in that mix. To me, it's pretty easy. I think NFL scouts think it's pretty easy. But I'll ask Connor where he came up with his formula.
And it's funny that Isaiah Spiller did almost all of that against an all-SEC schedule. And there are those that were saying, well, the SEC was down. And you're like, well, if they're all playing each other, there's not going to be a whole lot of teams with, great records, right? Because Alabama's going to go undefeated. Florida almost did, A&M, so if you're only playing Georgia, so you're only, the schedule's going to balance, right?
Rumor has it that if you play a conference-only schedule, the conference's record will be 500.
Will be 500.
That's just a rumor.
But then you got into the bowl games, and I think what was the SEC? Something like 6-1 in bowl games.
Yeah, but I think people take away points because of the Florida bowl experience.
Well,
again,
that was one of the losses.
Yeah, and that was with players out.
So
SEC went 7-2.
7-2. I knew it was dominant.
Yeah.
So then so then what's your argument? I think Bijan, is it Robinson?
Yeah, Bijan Robinson.
I think that guy at Texas is outstanding. Outstanding. That is a great running back. But let's not be fooled into thinking that he doesn't have a much easier path when he's running against Big 12 defenses.
To me, it's obvious. Again, we live it, we breathe it, we see it. Everybody's got their opinions on how they break things down. I got an opinion that Dalton's in a good mood this morning. Good morning to you, Dalton. I came in, you were listening to music. This is the Dalton I met months ago that's just happy with life. Welcome back, buddy.
Yeah, I realized I enjoy, as hard as it is, it makes my morning a little bit more difficult not having anybody else here. It's a lot smoother work morning when you control the whole flow yourself. So, yeah, I'm in a great mood. It's Friday. Let's see, may actually get a day off tomorrow, which is few and far between. So it'll be a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, you were smiling when I came in, rocking out. Good morning to you. Thanks.
I mean, it's always a good day when I get to listen to UNOB pontificate.
Pontificate. Do you know the definition of pontificate?
To pontiff?
I Googled it once because I was using it and somebody said I used it wrong. But I know what it means, but I'm going to go back on the Google machine here. To express one's opinion in an annoyingly pompous, dogmatic way.
Yeah, I think I hit the nail on the head.
That's a little rude. In fact, very rude. I liked you when you were grumpy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your time here. Let's go to the News and Social Center. Tori Espravoa.
Man. Good morning.
Good. See, this is the difference. You're always in a good mood.
I am. It's Friday. Well, what is there not to be in a good mood for?
Yeah, I can give you 3 or 4 things.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead.
Well,
this
ahead,
whole
Debbie Downer.
Isaiah Spiller thing.
All right, let me hit y'all some headlines. For starters, yesterday we had a TexAgs squad out there at practice as it was their first practice padded up. There's like a environment of excitement around everything right now, and I'm very excited. On the academic side, a total of 20 Texas A&M student athletes from 10 different sports are scheduled to graduate in the summer commencement today at Reed Arena. And then I saw it was Texas A&M Athletics News, a message from Ross Bjork says that we're operating at full capacity and want to provide each fan with the full fan experience. For starters this month, Aggie Soccer, which was on August 15th, and Aggie Volleyball, August 20th, are going to start their kickoff competitions with their exhibition games against Baylor. And then in September, cross country will host the Aggie opener on September 1st. And then, of course, September 4th, football, Kent State and Kyle Fields with the return of the Aggie Fightin' Texas Aggie Band.
I got to say something real quick. So Aggie Soccer Sunday night, they're going to be playing. I'll be there. I'm going to go with my kids and check it out with my wife after the Aggies practice and they have their media session and whatnot. I'm looking forward to it. I have been stopped so many times. I didn't think there were that many soccer fans in College Station. People are like, keep talking soccer. Keep doing it. Upset the fans. Do it. Keep doing it. They're whispering in my ears. Kind of awkward when I'm with my family at dinner and people, hey, man, keep doing soccer. But they're doing it. 39 of them so far. That's a lot to just randomly come up to a man and tell him, keep talking soccer.
Okay.
So just saying. I know you were all over that Messi story this week.
Some people like kickball. I'm not a huge fan, but
You're not a big fan of kickball?
Not a huge fan. But I do say this, to each his own.
There you go. So what'd you think of the whole Messi thing?
I thought it was kind of messy.
All right, when we come back here on TexAgs Radio, 21-21. Well, by the way, we're going to still continue on this Isaiah Spiller dialogue because we got Connor coming up at 9:05. But 21-21 presented by Factory Builder Stores. We go to number 11. We'll have that and more on TexAgs Radio.
This is the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Howdy, Ags. This is Dr. Krishna Shanmugam from BCS Eye Associates. I'm a fellowship-trained cornea and glaucoma specialist and eye surgeon, but most importantly, fighting Texas Aggie class of 2007. I was born in Aggie, raised in Aggie, and now back in the Brazos Valley to serve Aggieland, the incredible place that made me the person that I am today. We're the only fellowship-trained glaucoma, cornea, and cataract surgeon in town, and would be delighted to take care of you locally for your eye exam and your eye surgery needs. Give us a call to schedule an appointment today with Dr. K at BCS Eye Associates at 979-701-2020 or visit mybcsi.com.
Who knew mowing could be this fun? Hi, this is David from Kairos Truck Center inviting you to come down and take a test drive on one of our zero-turn mowers from Cub Cadet or Ferris. There's no better way to social distance than getting outdoors. At Kairos Truck Center, we offer zero money down and 0% interest on all our zero-turn mowers. At Kairos Truck Center, we make mowing as close to fun as it gets. Kairos Truck Center, Highway 21, half a mile east of the bypass in Bryant.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thank you to all our listeners and our sponsors for backing the Aggies all year long. Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue, Swartman Flooring, Prosperity Bank, Hargrove Insurance, Park at Traditions Exceptional Senior Living, Cherry Rufino Broker Realtor with Coldwell Banker Apex Realtors, and Amarillo National Bank. Here's a big gig 'em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
NHL star Matt Martin for American Humane.
Hi, I'm Matt Martin, and in all my years of playing professional hockey, I've gotten my share of bruises and injuries. But for many who really put their lives on the line every day, It's not always the injuries you can see that hurt the most. I'm talking about our veterans. Every single day, 184 veterans are diagnosed with post-traumatic stress. And tragically, 20 take their own lives. When medications and therapy don't help, professionally trained service dogs can. American Humane, serving the U.S. military for over 100 years, has put together a free guide to help veterans obtain these life-saving service animals. If you are a veteran or know a veteran struggling with PTS, please go to AmericanHumane.org for this free, downloadable resource. Let's give our veterans the help they need to win their battle.
For more information, visit AmericanHumane.org.
The best is yet to come in College Station.
Chase Lane is in for a touchdown! Yes!
Head coach Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies are ready to rise to the top of the SEC.
Swing to Anias, he's in the end zone, a 6-yard reception.
Join us Saturday, September 4th. It's the season opener versus the Kent State Golden Flashes on your home for Aggies football, the Texas A&M Sports Network.
Listen to Aggie football on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Online at RadioAggieland.com. Or tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150.
Another OB classic here on the YouTube Jams. Hopefully you're watching on YouTube or on TexAgs.com/live or listening on The Zone. Just hanging out with us here on a beautiful day. Friday, I should say. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I did not mention earlier our question of the day, which is getting some resistance, OB. Is it a one-game season for Texas A&M? And the reason, I don't think it is. But the reason that question came up is Paul Feinbaum yesterday went on the Keyshawn and Jay Will show. Apparently, I think we get it here on The Zone before we come on. And he mentioned that about it is a one-game season for the Aggies and obviously pointing at Bama. I don't think it's a one-game season because it can't be a one-game season in the SEC. And we'll talk about that in the next segment, but I do want to at least put it out there for you to think about because in the SEC, every week matters. But I think from a national attention, OB, you win that Alabama game, people then buy the hype that you really have arrived and not doing this, well, you did it in a COVID season. You win that early game or you make it a game in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left. I think it changes the narrative nationally about this program.
What if A&M lost to Alabama by, say, 7, got into the playoff, won a rematch, or even didn't have to play Alabama? What if they lost and won the national championship? What if? Was that? Oh, well, it really didn't matter because they lost the first game, right? How many times, and it's actually been quite a few, has Alabama or other teams won a national championship with one loss?
Yep.
So I would think Paul Feinbaum as a national voice would be smarter than to say something like that. Again, I know he's an Alabama shill, and if Nick Saban abruptly stops, Paul Feinbaum might break his nose. But you're in a national position. Put down the pom-poms for Alabama, while you're at work, and don't say something that ridiculous. Now, do I think A&M could win? I think they could win against Alabama. Could they lose after that? Let's go back to Ole Miss a few years ago. Ole Miss beat Alabama 2 years in a row, and not once did they win the SEC West. So I just think that's. So I can remember when LSU, about a decade ago, beat Alabama 9-6 in Tuscaloosa. They ended up playing for the national championship and lost. So to say, I think you hit the nail right on the head. To say that anything's a one-game season in the SEC is just short-sighted and just flat wrong.
But I think for the narrative out there, if A&M were to win that game, people would take them more serious.
That's
anybody, though.
Well, but you could say that about Michigan if they beat Ohio State.
Sure. Yeah.
You could say that about Texas if they beat Oklahoma. You could say that about North Carolina if they beat Clemson. So I don't think anything applies to the Pac-12, but because they're not a dominant team. But that's so. Yeah, if A&M beats Alabama, everybody's going to go, oh my gosh, now we got to look at the Aggies. I can remember not that long ago, and the Aggies choked it off, but they lost a reasonably competitive game to Alabama and was number 4 in the first playoff poll. So had they, not lost to Mississippi State and Ole Miss, maybe they would have gotten the playoff. So I don't think anything's ever a quote one game season. I think you go out and now maybe he's saying that if A&M doesn't beat Alabama, they won't get into the playoff.
Well, it depends how they lose to Alabama. If they lose by 7 last year, do they get the nod over Notre Dame? I think they do.
Well, what if LSU's as good as everybody thinks they're going to be and A&M beats them? And what if Ole Miss is as good as everybody thinks they are or could be and A&M beats them? So nobody else is good in the division. It's that to me that's laughable to make that statement. But I'll say this, I don't know if I had to put today's paycheck on that game today, if I wouldn't put it on Alabama.
But that's because of the question marks that we still haven't seen.
Right. But I'll say this, I am more confident in A&M's ability to beat Alabama than at any time since 2013.
Yeah, I agree with that. The bottom line with this whole thing is there's so many scenarios that have to play out throughout a season. Other conferences, our conference, how good is Ole Miss at the end of the year? What happens when you go to LSU? If you have several one-loss teams in the SEC, you finish out strong and you beat LSU and you go on the road and do that, something you haven't done, then everything aligns for Texas A&M to be in that Final Four conversation, and we're having a different discussion. Now, do I think the Alabama game, how you do there, determines a lot for the rest of the season? Sure. If they don't lose last year by 28 points, if that game is as close as it could have been at the half, I think they're one of those Final Four teams at the end of last year.
I agree. And by the way, have we forgotten that just 2 seasons ago, Alabama lost twice?
Yeah.
So, in Paul Feinbaum's mind, I don't think Alabama can lose. I really don't. And I've been on his show. He seemed like a nice enough guy. But I think being the PR guy for Alabama's, got to, it kind of runs old.
Yeah, it does run old. The same talking points every week. I am looking forward to that game, not just because of it, but I feel like this is. I'm ready for the national narrative to change. Prove it to me, A&M. I thought they proved it last year, but again, all you see yesterday, Liucci going back and forth with people on Twitter saying, "Oh, you did it on a down SEC season and an only SEC." You can't win sometimes.
Yeah, they do kind of keep moving the goalposts where A&M's concerned. They all of a sudden that Kentucky team that you beat a few years ago that was, I think, finished 11th in the country. They were 10-2. All of a sudden that doesn't matter. When they beat LSU, they were number 7 in that 7 overtime game.
Doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter. Then Florida's a top 5 team. You beat them. Well, okay, but there's always an excuse. Always a reason to disparage what A&M is accomplishing under Jimbo Fisher. And I think it still comes back to 2 things. There's that national media doesn't like the fact that A&M attracted Jimbo Fisher when the national media said, oh, that's ridiculous. And that there's that caste system that I always talk about. And they just are uncomfortable with Texas A&M getting into the fancy neighborhood.
Yeah, they don't like it. They don't like us moving in. So I have not done this. I apologize. If you want to call the show, you can on the BCSI Associates hotline, 979-693-1150. You can also text the show on that same line on the A&B text line, Real Texas Banking, 979-693-1150 is that number. We'd love to hear from you. But right now, a moment for our friends at Dr. Elms and Dr. Stewart at Elms Orthodontics. If you got a rough smile, it's okay. We can fix it for you, buddy. Your kids are, their teeth are coming in. You got some crowding. It doesn't look the way they want to look. It can be a real quick and painless process, and those are the guys you need to go visit, Dr. Elms and Dr. Stewart. They're at Elms Orthodontics. My twin boys got them about almost a year ago now, and they are just moving. Christian is almost done. Like it's not even been a year. Cruz is, he's got a little bit longer to go, but it's just a real painless process. And if you're an adult, you don't want to have braces. Like, I just don't want to you can do the whole Invisalign thing. I did the Invisalign thing as a 25-year-old. These guys right now are going to be the ones you need to call because they've been doing it for a very long time. Dr. Troy Elms, class of 86, in the community for over 30 years, 16-time Best of the Brazos winner, and Dr. Jeremy Stewart, class of 03. They are an incredible 1-2 team. He loves TexAgs. He's on the boards all the time. And I'm telling you, these are the guys you want to go visit. Get a free consultation today, 1501 Emerald Parkway in College Station. And the phone number for Elms Orthodontics, 979-693-6300, or learn more online at drelms.com.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. The Caldwell-Burleson County Lions Club presents the movie Ratatouille this Friday at the Caldwell Civic Center. Doors open at 6 and the movie starts at 7. Canned goods or non-perishable food items are good for admission. Stage Center Theater wraps up its season with Pure as the Driven Snow. Performances are August 12th through the 28th. Purchase tickets online at stagecenter.net. Loss of a Spouse is a free seminar on Sunday, August 29th from 4 to 6 p.m. at Peace Lutheran Church. Email Rhonda at peacelutheranbcs.org for more information. Now on display at the Arts Council, Refrigerator Art. Art created during summer art camps and Saturday adult classes will be displayed in the lobby gallery through the end of August. You can hear Aggie football, Aggie basketball, and Aggie baseball right here on Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Online, listen to your favorite Aggie teams play at radioaggieland.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
The Bellucci Hour is back. It is back at the tap every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Join Billy Liucci of TexAgs, TexAgs.com, TexAgs Radio, and the Liucci Cast, along with Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, and Sports Director of Brian Broadcasting. Monday, Thursday, 6 p.m. It's the Bellucci Hour, happy hour, and it's all thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Let the Bellucci Hour get you ready for Aggie football 2021.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Brian Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family.
Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Brian Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
This is ESPN Radio.
Head coach Mike Boynton, Oklahoma State basketball.
Immense talent, a work ethic that's been unmatched by any other kid I've coached.
Talking to Matt Nagy right now, the head coach of the Chicago Bears.
When I say the room is healthy, Andy Dalton is doing everything he possibly can to help Justin.
Charles Haley, Pro Football Hall of Famer.
I always believe that the fans, they're the ones that paid my salary. I always felt like I owed them something.
Talking to Pat Connaughton right now, NBA champion.
The talking head saying it can't be done, Giannis has to leave. It just makes it that much sweeter in the end.
Rams head coach Sean McVay.
Some of the most difficult parts of playing the quarterback position are really where he illustrates what a special player he is.
Hall of Famer Oscar Robertson.
It's a partnership. Now the players can decide if 2 or 3 want to get together. Years ago, owners could stop that.
Played the tight end position for the Green Bay Packers, Jermichael Finley.
If you got a guy saying, I'm not taking that shot, guess what that looks like? Oh, we ain't got a team player here.
ESPN Radio, weeknights and weekends on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Let this play out a second. It's a new one. It's kind of like church. Like when you're walking in. Do you feel that? A little bit? It's been a while since you've been to church. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I was born a snake handler and I'll die a snake handler. I don't handle snakes.
We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. If you guys want to be a part of the conversation, you can certainly join us as we get into 21 and 21 presented by Factory Builder Stores. But the phone number, 979-693-1150. That is the AMB text line, and the BCSI Associates hotline as well to call in the show, 979-693-1150. But as I mentioned, 21 and 21, we moved to number 11, presented by Factory Builder Stores, celebrating over 30 years as the largest contract distributor in Texas. Factory Builder Stores can service builders and general public with locations throughout Texas. including right here in College Station on Old Welborn Road and Rock Prairie, just on the west side of the railroad tracks. Go see our friends Jason and John. They're going to take great care of you of any of your appliance needs. Were you in studio when somebody sent me a message saying you're saying Welborn wrong, basically?
Yes, we had that conversation.
Wellborn is how I was saying it. Welborn. I Cavalry and Welborn. I'm learning English here. It's Hooked on Phonics worked for me. Thanks to your help, OB.
I'm one of those guys that if you know what you're saying, I just roll with it.
Just
right?
roll with it.
Typically.
Is there any word that you say that you struggle with?
Oh gosh, there's a whole
the whole language.
Litany, yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. Number 11 is Miles Jones.
Yeah, I thought Miles Jones had an all-SEC caliber year last year. I don't think that means that I'm angry that he wasn't all-SEC because, quite frankly, at his position, the SEC was loaded last year as usual. You had Surtain at Alabama. You had the Horn at South Carolina, first-round draft choice. The two guys at LSU. I mean, there's a lot of good corners. So I don't think Miles not being on there was necessarily disrespectful. I just think that Miles went out and had the best year of his career, without a doubt. Only had the one interception, but that's overblown. I thought that he covered well. He had about a half dozen broken up passes. I don't know for sure, but it seems like broke up about 5 or 6. But I think what was really different from him last year than in the past was he showed a more physical presence and run support than maybe he had in the past. So I just think he developed and came along, and last year he had his best year. And I actually think he made a wise move by deciding to come back because if he can build on that, I think he will enhance his draft status. But, 6'4" corners, there's not a lot of them. And I thought he played really well. I do remember that interception he got in the end zone against Mississippi State. Now, part of that was due to DeMarvin Leal putting pressure and making Costello throw the ball maybe a little earlier than he wanted to, or not as far. But that's what a good corner does. He waits for a mistake, and then he's like a spider jumping on a fly. He goes in there and gets it and take it away. And that was a big play. So I thought, I thought Miles Jones played his best year, his best football of his career last year, and I expect him to continue on that path.
Built more like a safety in a way, like he's just a big, long, rangy dude.
Yeah, again, you don't typically see a lot of 6'4" corners. I know Bobby Taylor, the guy who's part of this recruiting class, his dad was about a 6'4" corner and was really good for Notre Dame and the Eagles. I don't know that Miles has progressed to that degree yet, but I do think that as a corner, he's now legitimate. He's proven that he can play. He had some bad luck. He slipped and fell down on a long completion against Alabama. Sometimes that kind of stands out. Sometimes bad things happen. You don't mean for them to. It's just bad luck, and I think that was one of those things. But when you look back at his year, you really can't find a lot of times when he was beat. And you couldn't say that earlier in his career. I think he really came on. I thought, like I said, he was an all SEC caliber guy.
I read somewhere, I forget where, but if you take away that Alabama game, and I know you cannot take away that game, but that's really where he gets dinged in that play and specifically that you're speaking about. That happens.
Yeah, I mean, he might be in that same coverage 100 times and not fall down. Sometimes whatever, you get your feet get tangled up, and it's just a bad break. Kind of like sometimes you get a face mask penalty when you're not even targeting the face mask. Right. Maybe the guy moves, whatever. Sometimes just unfortunate things happen, and I think that was just one of those fluky things that happened, and it's kind of magnified. But again, you look past that and tell me when he got beat. I'm not saying that he didn't get beat the rest of the year. You're a corner, you're going to get beat. But my memory serves, and the way A&M's defense played, he did not, he won more than he lost. And, then he missed the last 2 games. And when he was out, don't mean this as a knock on Brian George, but when he was out, you missed him.
Yeah, you did.
So And I think that's probably the number one thing you can say about him is maybe he didn't have that spectacular year that he's getting 5 or 6 interceptions and people, oh my gosh, don't throw it Miles Jones. But when he was out, you recognize, okay, he's not there anymore, and they're giving up a few more big plays.
The amount of experience coming back on that defense cannot be understated. We've talked about it at every position group there on that defense, but another guy coming back for another senior season, that is so huge because you've been down in those tough moments in the trenches, whatever word you want to use for it, and he's come up big for this team in the past, and as you mentioned, if he can just sprinkle in another pretty good season or great season, I mean, his draft stock is going to go up, or his NFL chances are certainly going to go up.
Yeah, I think there's every reason to think that he'll be better this year than he was last year. Again, last year was the best year of his career. Why not believe that he's trending upward instead of like he hit a peak and now he's going to decline? I see no reason to believe that. Maybe he's just, it's all coming together for him.
So we've made a lot about the question marks out there when it comes to this team, and it starts with quarterback and offensive line. But the secondary has been one of those that gets some question marks thrown at it. Do you have those same question marks, or do you feel because of the experience, because the other Jones is going to have another year under his belt and he had a really good year, that isn't such a question?
Well, I think that there's a certain amount of question there because A&M was susceptible to give up big plays in the passing game. And we just talked about how one was an unfortunate fluke that Miles fell down, and another one against Alabama was because, quite frankly, everybody remembers John Mechie early in the game beating Jalen Jones in his second game as a collegian. But what I would go back at, Sam Howell, hell of a quarterback, going to be a first-round draft choice.
One of the top 3 listed out there.
Now, he threw some big plays. Well, Miles Jones wasn't playing in that game. They gave up some big plays to Florida. Okay, that's first-round draft choice Kadarius Toney. That's first-round draft choice Kyle Pitts. And that's the guy I voted for the Heisman, Kyle Trask.
Right.
So, we're going to give up some big plays. But take out those 3 games, and I think that you look at the A&M secondary and you come away, for the most part, really impressed. Now, South Carolina had some opportunities early for big plays, got dropped them. All right, you got to clean that up, and I think they will. But so I think that's why that's the only area. Are they good play in and play out? Yes, they're really good play in and play out. Have they been susceptible to giving up that occasional big play? Right, yes. Yeah. You're going to give up some of those. Some of those are going to be surrendered, but clean that up is, I think, the only thing you have to do now.
So we were at practice yesterday, and we really haven't talked about some of the sights that we saw out there. But anything jump out at you when you're there? Again, I need to paint the picture for people. We're there for a 20-minute stretch. And there are some things we can pick up. But again, we're not seeing, one thing that I keep maintaining to people, do not read into who's running with the 1s right now and who's running with the 2s to mean anything for September 4th.
Right. I cannot remember the guy's name. He hadn't played much. He's the big 6'6" receiver from Georgia, Kenyon Jackson. That guy looks good. Yeah. He really, from what little I saw, shows really good hands, and he's so tall. I wonder if that guy, I'm not saying he's going to go in there and catch 40 passes, but I wonder if that guy is not going to start being utilized more. I love the speed I see from Moose.
Catching ability.
Yeah, they're just good at receiver. We've talked about the size. I saw Baylor Cupp walking around in shorts and T-shirt yesterday. I don't know if that's just one of those things where you're being overly cautious with the guy who's, bringing him along slowly.
In the NFL and the NBA, they call it load management. We haven't had a chance to talk to Jimbo since Sunday. That was our first practice to go to since Sunday. People were asking, how come we haven't had any reports? It's because they haven't opened all the practices to us. We will again be there on Sunday. But yeah, Caleb Chapman in the yellow jersey. You said Baylor Cupp was walking around. Again, not reading too much into it. And by the way, I think Chapman looks good from what I've seen.
Yeah. And by the way, Baylor didn't look hurt.
No.
I don't know what was so it might be just exactly what you were talking about. But I liked to watch the running backs. Man, that coach, I'm having one of those senior days where I'm having trouble remembering names. We all know the coach that came over from LSU, the running backs coach, Tommy. Help me out, Dalton. You always do. But anyway, just staying on guys. Hey, do not stop the drill. I'll tell you when to stop. Get back over.
Tommy Robinson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm actually just your subconscious.
I'm having a lot of trouble with Robinsons today.
We call them senior moments.
Yeah, I've had plenty of them. I have senior hours. So anyway, but there's only so much personally that I can gather from watching 15 minutes of drills.
You know what I did gather? They don't waste any time.
Oh, that's true.
They literally, you are going and there's all these different stations that the guys are funneling through, and it's like drill to drill. There's no time to walk and chit chat and get water and laugh with your friends. And I say that comparing it to NFL life, where they're running to the next drill. Don't get me wrong, but there's a sense of urgency between these drills. Did you notice that as well?
Oh yeah, that's the way it's always been, man. Jimbo does not waste any time. And by the way, I almost got ran over by
reindeer?
No, well, somebody as big as a reindeer, Akinola Goombi.
Yeah.
And, we talk about how big PV is and, just and Green and all the Akinola Goombi is I'm not saying he's big as Bobby Brown. I always said that you could have watched a movie on Bobby Brown's back, just put it on. Goombi is on that. He's like that. He's another huge guy. Bryce Foster. Dang, they got some big linemen. I think
Bryce Foster is a house.
He's a mountain.
He's a mountain. That's better. And I mean that in he's just a physical specimen. Yes, he's a big dude, but you see muscles on his neck and just, I don't know. When it's his day, it's going to be a good day.
And his day may come sooner than a lot of people think. I just think the more I see these guys, the less I'm concerned about that whole offensive line issue.
Well, Matthews was back out there, I believe, yesterday.
I didn't see him. Was he? Okay.
I heard Luch talking about it on the air. See, and that's the other thing is I told you on the phone, there's so much going on. There's only so much you can survey at one time.
And plus, I have to admit, I'm still having difficulty remembering all the numbers because they change them up.
Yep.
And so now I'm still trying to put names to numbers again.
Yeah.
So I might have say Matthews out there, but has he changed his number? I think maybe he has.
I don't know if he has.
I don't know.
I heard Luch yesterday on the Bellucci Hour talking about him coming back, and obviously there's questions about his health. There are absolute questions about his health, but if he can stay healthy, I really like, and again, that's an if, I really like what he brings to this offensive line.
His shoulder could be the key to the season, even though I think that's overstated. I think the guy, again, there's other guys that can get in there and play. They're huge, and they have ways they can juggle the offensive line. But, I went out there and I know we've kind of beat this horse to death, but you just can't help but be impressed by just the size of that football team.
Well, we need to hit a break here, but can you tell a difference from last year to this year? Well, we weren't really there last year, though.
Right. So
game days, sure, but
I can say this: I can definitely tell the difference from this year to 2 or 3 years ago.
Well, let me make this point, because I think for me, seeing them without the pads, when you see people in pads, they all look
Everybody
huge.
looks huge, yeah.
Right? But we saw them those first couple of days in shirts and shorts. And that size to me is what stood out. Yesterday, it's the first day of practice with pads on. They all looked huge, but seeing them the initial weekend, that's where I was really impressed. So we have to do this. We got to hit a break. When we come back, we're going to have to bank on it. Vera Bank's telling us to bank on it. We're going to bank on it and finish up some of your text messages and your calls here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
You're listening to The Zone. 1150 AM. Sports Radio. And 93.7 FM.
Who knew mowing could be this fun? Hi, this is David from Kairos Truck Center inviting you to come down and take a test drive on one of our zero-turn mowers from Cub Cadet or Ferris. There's no better way to social distance than getting outdoors. At Kairos Truck Center, we offer zero money down and 0% interest on all our zero-turn mowers. At Kairos Truck Center, we make mowing as close to fun as it gets. Kairos Truck Center, Highway 21, half a mile east of the bypass in Bryan.
Bryan Broadcasting and the Nikki Peterson Talent Network present Good Clean Fun, a comedy night with Carrie Pomeroli.
So you guys, yes, I am a member of the Mommy Mafia. I have 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old and a good one.
Hollywood's favorite clean comedian is live in College Station Friday, September 3rd at 7 at Skybreak Church.
I was in the Zumba class, and there's this teacher, right? And she's all cute and sassy, and she's like, shake what your mama gave you. I'm in the back row going, my mama gave me sciatica and allergies. How do I shake my self-esteem issues?
Bring anyone who's ready for a good time.
You guys, who's happy just to be out of the house? Really? Right?
Good Clean Fun, a comedy night with Carrie Pomeroli, September 3rd. Presented by Nikki Peterson Talent Network. Be discovered. Thanks in part to our sponsors. Strata Auto Repair, Marks, Manny's Appliance Repair and Cleaning Service, and Dirt Road Rustics Furniture and Home Decor. Tickets, VIP, and group packages available at BryanBroadcasting.com.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our sponsors for backing the Aggies all season long. First Financial Bank, Bryan College Station Toyota, Rudy's Barbecue, Schulte Roofing, The Sleep Station, and Pioneer Steel. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
For our military families, Americans can show appreciation through education.
Because of you, I will walk across the stage.
I can show my children that they can succeed at any point in their life.
I will be able to make a positive difference in the lives of other people.
I was able to achieve my dreams and work on eradicate some of the world's top diseases.
I was able to get the education that I always wanted.
Because of you, I will be paying it forward and serving my nation.
Join us at ThanksUSA.org.
Hey y'all, this is Marty Smith.
And I'm Ryan McGee. And we are
Marty and McGee. Check us out every Saturday morning on ESPN Radio and the SEC Network.
Of course, we'll be all over the biggest news in the world of sports.
And plenty of that Marty and McGee type stuff.
Like the Hillbilly Headlines.
And some of the craziest callers you've ever heard in your life.
It might be the only reason to wake up that early on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, for sure. It's Marty and McGee.
Saturday mornings, 6 to 9.
Here on The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Just realized it's Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Don't like those movies. Not a Jason Voorhees fan. No. Your kind of movie?
I remember seeing the very first one at the movie theater. And
did you?
Yeah, it was kind of disturbing.
Scared?
Well, I mean, scared. It was suspenseful, right? It was kind of gory. I didn't think anybody with a mask was going to come after me or anything like that. Well,
yeah. I think I still see people with a mask. I get a little worried. By the way, it is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is time to bank on it. Presented by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. You can learn more at verabank.com. OB, what can I bank on?
I'm banking on IKEA becoming very interested in A&M because I'm banking on Theodore Merlin Olsen, however he says his name, the Swedish tight end, committing to Texas A&M. I actually ran into him at the local barbecue establishment that started in Llano.
Okay.
I don't know if they're a sponsor or not, so that's why I don't say it, but I think I think they might be. So it's Cooper's. Okay. So anyway, so I ran into him and had a conversation with him.
Nice kid.
Yeah, well, very, very respectful, like kids typically are.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, he was really enjoying the barbecue. So I think maybe Texas barbecue, and then he probably got some of Terry Price's. And I think if you like barbecue and that can sway you, and apparently Orstrom, from what I could tell, was really enjoying it. So I'm banking on him. He says he's going to make a commitment like on next Wednesday or something. So I'm banking on him
going to A&M,
choosing the good guys.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm going to bank on Isaiah Spiller. All right, we started the show. People not seeing him the way I see him, the way OB sees him. I think by the middle of the season, we can bank on him. If they redid those polls, he's going to be your top 2 or 3 running backs in all of college football, not just in the SEC. I know that he sometimes loses points because of the sheer amount of talent with him. You know, you got A-Chain back there. You got Anias, obviously, who can do a little bit of everything. But I still think when it's all said and done, Isaiah Spiller is going to be one of those guys that we're talking about as one of the top 2, 3 running backs in college football.
I would not be surprised if Isaiah Spiller, I'm not saying he will because it's such a lofty goal, but I would not be surprised if Isaiah Spiller hits 1,000 yards by midseason.
So you're saying maybe 16 to 2,000 yards is possible?
Oh, yeah. I remember a few years ago I said Travion Williams will rush for, I think I said 1,500. Maybe I said 1,200 or something like that. And then he ran for exactly 1 mile. He had 1,760 or whatever. Yeah, he hit it exactly 1 mile. So I even undersold Travion that year. I think Isaiah, given between 15 and 20 carries a game, I think he'll make a run at 2,000.
Tori, we love you. We'll have to talk to you in a minute. It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
You're listening to your home for TexAgs Radio. Louis Bellina and Chip Howard. The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
This is Aggieland's home for Aggie football, Aggie basketball, and Aggie baseball. The Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Plus online at RadioAggieland.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, this is a news update on the Zone. Just before jury selection started in a Brazos County District Court criminal trial this week, prosecutors asked and received a postponement. It's the 4th time there's been a delay in the trial of former Arts Council Director Sylvia McMullen on charges of credit card abuse in December 2018. According to court documents, the district attorney's office looking for an unidentified witness who was never contacted during the investigation and whose whereabouts are unknown. The witness is someone prosecutors say is needed to make an unidentified correction in the indictment. McMullen remains out of jail on a $10,000 bond. What began 4 years ago as a City of Bryan subcommittee addressing the construction of stealth dorms ended this week when the City Council approved the new Midtown zoning district. Councilman Bobby Gutierrez, who was on the Planning Commission when the process started, asked Planning Administrator Randy Haynes if the original goals were met for future land use from south of downtown Bryan to the College Station city limits.
Are those going to water down any of the big visions? I think we've talked about this.
Absolutely maintains that vision. The language of the ordinance isn't quite as strong, so it is less of a mandate, and it will create some discussion that I feel strongly that with the values of this community we can work through.
More than 1,400 property owners are notified of the changes. The rezoning process generated 57 pages of public comments and about 265 people attended 3 public meetings. A reminder to those who have Texas A&M parking tags that today's the last day they'll be used on the flagship campus. Tomorrow's the first day of what's described at A&M Transportation Services as virtual parking. Executive Director Debbie Hoffman says the technology to read license plates gives users more flexibility. Hoffman says virtual parking's been used on the Rellis campus since it opened. More news in English and Spanish is at WTAW.com. That's news on the Zone.
Hey, it's David Nuño. Texas known for football, barbecue, and hot summer temperatures. And typically, the hotter the weather, the higher your electricity bill. But with some help from Energy Ogre, a Texas technology company, you can lower your bill by up to 40%. In fact, we signed up 2 years ago, and they saved my family 35%. Energy Ogre will find you the cheapest electricity plan in your area. Manage all future contracts, saving you time and money. Go to EnergyOgre.com and enter code HOWDY for a free month of service. That's EnergyOgre.com to start saving today.
Brian Broadcasting and the Nikki Peterson Talent Network present Good Clean Fun, a comedy night with Carrie Pomeroli.
So you guys, yes, I am a member of the Mommy Mafia. I have 2 kids. I have a 4-year-old and a good one.
Hollywood's favorite clean comedian is live in College Station Friday, September 3rd at 7 at Skybreak Church.
I was in the Zumba class, and there's this teacher, right? And she's all cute and sassy, and she's like, shake what your mama gave you. I'm in the back are going, my mama gave me sciatica and allergies. How do I shake my self-esteem issues?
Bring anyone who's ready for a good time.
You guys, who's happy just to be out of the house? Really? Right?
Good Clean Fun, a comedy night with Carrie Pomeroli, September 3rd. Presented by Nikki Peterson Talent Network. Be discovered. Thanks in part to our sponsors. Strata Auto Repair, Marks, Manny's Appliance Repair and Cleaning Service, and Dirt Road Rustics Furniture and Home Decor. Tickets, VIP, and group packages available at BrianBroadcasting.com.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on the Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HilcoSupply.com. Texas A&M Athletics Director Ross Bjork says athletics facilities will continue to operate at 100% capacity despite a recent rise in COVID-19 cases. Bjork released a statement to the 12th man yesterday saying, we are operating at full capacity for all of our venues and will provide each and every one of you with the full fan experience. Aggie soccer will be the first team to kick things off at home when it hosts Baylor for an exhibition match this Sunday. Over on the gridiron, it's still unknown who will be the Aggie starting quarterback for September 4th season opener against Kent State. However, one thing is for sure, they'll have a lot of talent to throw to. One of the guys expecting to be highly involved in the passing game is running back / wide receiver Anaya Smith, who plans on having an even bigger role this season.
My role is definitely going to have to expand just because of the expectations that Coach has on me. I'm definitely going to have to step up to the plate to become more of a leader, number one, and then also just go ahead and keep making plays. So that's going to be my whole thing, to go ahead and, instead of being a playmaker, I guess, being a game changer.
Smith is the Aggies' leading returning receiver after hauling in 43 catches for 564 yards and 6 touchdowns last year. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On the Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thank you to all our listeners and our sponsors for backing the Aggies all year long. Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue, Swartman Flooring, Prosperity Bank, Hargrove Insurance, Park at Traditions Exceptional Senior Living, Cherry Rufino Broker Realtor with Coldwell Banker Apex Realtors, and Amarillo National Bank. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Special request by Connor O'Gara. I know he wanted this song deep down in his heart. Saturdays Down South. Hey, it is TexAgs Radio presented by David Garner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I got to explain to Connor as we get him on here on the BCSI hotline. So we're trying to show the first hour and a half or so on YouTube, so we got to be careful with the songs that we play. So that's why you're hearing elevator music as we enter this segment. Good morning to you, my friend.
Elevator music is kind of underrated. There's a reason that when you go into an elevator and you're able to just kind of zone out for like 10, 15 seconds, that you end up having that song stuck in your head for the rest of the day. So I think this is actually a really smart idea, and you guys should stick with it regardless of any sort of copyright deals that you guys might be facing.
Yeah, we may have to do that, my man. So hey, look, we're buds. We met right before SEC Media Days, at least virtually. Then we met there, and when I saw your article the other day about the top 25 running backs in the SEC. Top 25 players in the SEC for 2021. I saw a lot of A&M love on there. I saw a lot, but I didn't see one name that I expected to see. I expected to see Isaiah Spiller, and we all have our reasons for how we come up with our lists. And so help me understand, because there's a lot of people you have to consider. I understand that, but like here with the maroon juice that I'm drinking, I see Isaiah as one of the top 2 or 3 running backs in the SEC. So how did he not make that list, and how did you come up with it, just so I can get a clear explanation?
Sure, and I knew I was going to be asked about this, and it was really difficult to leave him off of the list. And basically, so if you've never done like a top 25 list of players in the SEC, it's really difficult. And you're essentially just picking your first team all SEC guys. And so for me, when I broke it down and I looked at just based on how good you are at your specific position. Now, I'm not putting punters and kickers on that list. Sorry, it's just not happening. But what I was able to try and look at is who really excels in their specific areas. And at defensive back, there's like 8 guys in the SEC who I think are just so unbelievably good and could be All-Americans. Isaiah just missed the cut in part because I do have some questions about how he's going to look with only one returning starter of the Maroon Goons. As extraordinary as he is as a back, the last 2 years he has been that in the SEC, I would put 3 SEC running backs higher in terms of guys who I think could thrive in any sort of system. Tank Bigsby, Chris Rodriguez, and then Kevin Harris. Isaiah Spiller didn't necessarily make the cut in part because of that broken tackle rate stat. If you look at SEC StatCat, who has that, has all those metrics kind of broke down, number 9 in the SEC, I believe in that. And then it was 19th in the SEC in negative play percentage last year, barely ranked inside of the top 10 in Pro Football Focus's grading format. Kind of look into that what you will. But there are questions about Isaiah Spiller, what that role is going to look like. And I put Ainias Smith in my top 25 because I think Ainias Smith is just an extraordinary football player. I think that you line that guy up in the slot, you line him up in the backfield, and it doesn't really matter. He's just going to make plays for you one way or another. And Isaiah Spiller, I think the volume is tremendous, but when you actually break it down in terms of what he's able to do with a specific carry, I think there are just a couple of other guys in the SEC who can do a little bit more.
So let me just throw this out at you because Olin Buchanan, who I do the show with in the first hour, brought it to my attention. When we're talking about Kevin Rodriguez, who I think is a phenomenal running back in his own right, the bulk of his numbers came against South Carolina, Vanderbilt. He did have a great game against Georgia, but also against Ole Miss. Sometimes we look at Isaiah and think that he was maybe dinged because he didn't get to take on that Ole Miss team where he could have maybe racked up 150 yards and continued that dynamic season. And I understand your point about the offensive line, totally do. But do you think maybe that also kind of colors his numbers because he didn't get that Ole Miss game?
We're talking about Kevin Harris, correct? Kevin Harris is South Carolina running back.
Chris Rodriguez.
As opposed to Chris Rodriguez. Oh, we're talking Chris Rodriguez. Okay. So Chris Rodriguez ran for over 100 yards against the number 1 run defense in the country, Georgia. That guy ran against loaded boxes left and right. He has led the SEC each of the last 2 years in average yards after first contact. That is a guy who, when he has been given the workload, he has 8 career games with double-digit carries, and he has averaged over 100 yards in those games. I think Chris Rodriguez, what he does for you, whether it's between the tackles, outside of it, is unbelievable. And I think that people sleeping on him are maybe just not necessarily watching a lot of Kentucky football. And he's the guy that, because of what he's been able to do against a team like Georgia, I think that he kind of supersedes that notion that he's competition dependent. So I think what he does as a pass protector as well. He was, I believe, the number 1 or number 2 overall pass protector among running backs in FBS last year. He is Pro Football Focus's highest rated returning running back in all of college football. I mean, you stick that guy on the field, 7 yards to carry. That's just what he does. And I just think that Chris Rodriguez is going to be able to have a lot of success in the Liam Cohen system this year. Kevin Harris is a little bit different. The metrics with him, the South Carolina running back, and I didn't have him on first team All SEC either, and I got a lot of heat for that. the advanced metrics with him are just not very good. They're just simply not. And you kind of break it down and you realize that his yards after first contact aren't really strong, and that he was getting a lot of favorable holes despite the fact that he was seeing loaded boxes all the time. So I think that when you kind of dig into it and you say, what do I feel like is maybe dependent on a running back and what's not dependent on a running back, I think Kevin Harris kind of lacks in some of those departments in the way that Chris Rodriguez really doesn't.
Let's go through some of the other guys that on your list. Obviously, you talked about Aniyah Smith a moment ago. You said he's just a football player. You can put him almost anywhere. The impact that he has on this team sometimes, I believe, cannot be measured. Just your thoughts overall. I know you put him at 25, but he's the kind of guy that on certain game days, he is the guy that you see on the field.
If you are a defensive coordinator and you have to plan to shut down Aniyah Smith, I really don't know what you do, because what he does better than probably anybody in the SEC and maybe anybody in college football is make people miss after the catch. That is where he is devastating. And I know that Jimbo Fisher is going to try and dial up as many looks as possible to be able to get him in space, and now using him more in the slot than he was used even last year. I think that that's the thing that's going to be fun to be able to watch with him, is what is his route running going to look like? What is he going to be able to do when he's able to get some of those screens? What's he going to be able to do when he's getting outside of the typical, like, oh, I'm just going to give you the ball in between the tackles? I think he was doing that last year based on need, whereas this year he is really going to change what a defense is going to be able to have to prepare for. So I just think that his impact is going to be tremendous. I saw that Jimbo Fisher was getting on him pretty good in that spring game, and I like that. And I think that Jimbo Fisher realizes that he has the ability to be the best player on this football team, and you can make the case that he is that coming into this season. But I just think the versatility for me is what stands out, and I'm looking forward to kind of what he's able to do with a full offseason.
Connor, can you tell us the only tight end that made your list? And I'll tell Aggie fans he's number 13.
Jalen Watermeyer is the best tight end in all of college football. And you want to say, maybe Charlie Kohler, the Iowa State tight end, yeah, you want to put him in that group. If you want to say that Eric Gilbert, if you still want to list him as a tight end and you're not buying into the propaganda that George is going to use him as a receiver, that's on you. For the rest of us who have watched Jalen Watermeyer play football for the last 2 years, we've seen a guy who catches balls in traffic. We've seen a guy who can make a key block at a monumental stage of a game like he did last year in the Orange Bowl with the dagger run of Devon Achane against UNC. And then you don't have to take him off the field. I mean, I think I said this before. He played like 13 fewer snaps than Kellen Mond last year. A tight end in this day and age, that just doesn't happen. I just think that what he brings to the table as a versatile, pass-catching, run-blocking machine is incredible. And he's not going to get the same sort of love of Gilbert or like Kyle Pitts last year, because he's not on that same level from an athletic standpoint. But I'm starting to kind of see him in some of these way too early mocks, and people are realizing when they actually just focus in on what he's able to do on a football field that this is what you want in a tight end. That's exactly what I want. I want a guy who's reliable. I want a guy who I feel like I can trust in third down. I want a guy who's going to be able to go make plays in between the hash sheets. He's not going to shy away from contact. That is what Jalen Watermeyer does. And I think that anybody that thinks that he's not one of the elite tight ends in all of college football, I think maybe they're looking too far into recruiting rankings or something like that.
I'm going to go to your number 7 here. And I usually don't like to go through an entire list, but I think there's really good information here. And number 7, Kenyon Green. Obviously, we know what he means to that offensive line. This year, they're going to look a little different with the 4 new pieces. That being said, the anchor of your offensive line, the leader of it is Kenyon Green, and he is an NFL maybe top 10, top 15 pick.
It's interesting that the 3 offensive linemen that I included on this list, Kenyon Green being one of them, they're all kind of making the same transition this offseason. At least it appears for now that they're making this transition to left tackle. So what's that going to look like when you are the focal point? So Evan Neal, Darian Kennard are the 2 others who I included on this list, and I put them all pretty much right next to each other because I think that we have the same question. But all of them have done really well at a variety of different ways for their specific teams. And with Green, the question is, what's it going to look like now that he's the veteran? Now that he's not surrounded by all these different guys last year, what's it going to look like? And I know they have high expectations for Jameer Johnson as well, but can he be the focal point of that offensive line and protect a new starting quarterback? Because there are big time expectations with that A&M offensive line now. It's different now after you had the year that you did where that really was the identity of the team. And I think Kenyon Green is more than capable of making that transition. Jimbo Fisher has said this offensive line has more upside and more potential even than last year's group. But yeah, it is going to take a little bit to get that continuity down. We saw Kenyon Green kind of struggle a little bit in the spring game with some of those pickups and some of those protections. So I think that he has a big year in store, big pre-draft year, but he's a household name in the SEC, at least at this point. And I think that A&M fans should be feeling good about what he's going to be able to provide in both phases of the game.
Another household name, DeMarvin Leal. Just so many expectations for him, potentially a top 5 pick. We're talking about these first rounders there that A&M boasts that we believe, at least in this upcoming NFL draft. He is such a game changer, and you team him up with whoever's going to be on the line with him, PV, Clemens. They're going to be a destructive force.
I think in this day and age, we tend to look at defensive linemen as, is this guy an edge? Is this guy playing, on the inside? Is he interior? I look at Leal, I think that guy can just do whatever you ask him to do. And I think that Mike Elko really likes the ability to kind of line him up in some different spots. And they're going to be able to use him to plug holes in the running game. They're going to be able to use him to rush the passer. They're going to be able to use him to try and generate pressure without necessarily having to bring 5-6 guys. That's what he does. I go back to that clip last year where if you see that clip of him just throwing Evan Neal around like a rag doll. I mean, Evan Neal's 360 pounds of man. Like, you see the videos of him doing the box jumps, the Alabama offensive tackle, you're like, this guy is a different kind of cat. And you just see DeMarvin Leal just throw him to the side like he's nothing. That's the type of strength. That's the type of stuff that's going to stand out with him. He's not necessarily going to be a Myles Garrett 2.0. He's playing in a different sort of system, but I think all the abilities there. I'm buying the NFL draft stock. I think that all the buzz that we've heard going into this year is legit with him. And I think that getting a defensive lineman as versatile and as impactful as him that you don't have to necessarily take off the field, that's the difference between somebody like him and somebody like Jordan Davis. So Jordan Davis at Georgia, yeah, he can play on the nose for you, but you can only play a certain amount of snaps. Leal is the guy that you can leave out there and you can rely on him to do a lot of different things for you.
Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South on the BCSI hotline. Connor, we were, I read on the message boards, I guess Paul Feinbaum was on Keyshawn and Jay Will's show, and he said that this is a one-game season for Texas A&M. I don't believe it's ever a one-game season for any team in the SEC. That being said, I understand why that is said. Just your thoughts on Feinbaum's thoughts and how life in the SEC can't just be about one game. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. Let me hear yours.
Right. So I have my Saturday Down South Crystal Ball series that's going to be coming out. And one of the things that I have in there is A&M taking down Alabama. And I think that happens this year. I think October 9th is a date that many people have circled on their calendars, in part because of the offseason comments, a little back and forth. Jimbo says we're going to beat Alabama's you-know-what while Saban's there. And I think that there's a lot of people saying, why would you ever poke the beast like that? Why would you ever try and get Nick Saban more fired up than he needs to be for a specific game? But I think the depth in the secondary is finally there. And with Alabama not having those 4 receivers to torch A&M in the back end, I think that makes the difference this year. I think A&M is able to get a little bit more pressure on Bryce Young, somebody who's going to be going into a road atmosphere that is going to be, probably one of the top atmospheres in all of college football this year. I think that he's going to make a few mistakes. And I think A&M, as long as it is able to figure out that offensive line, that's a big question I have for this one. Can A&M establish who it is up front on the offensive line without necessarily having to, have moving pieces or injuries or stuff like that, or they're moving guys all over the place. They need continuity established because that Alabama pass rush is going to be there. But I think in this game, Alabama finally is able to get, or A&M rather, is finally able to get the better of Alabama. I think that this is just finally Jimbo Fisher's time in year 4. He's talking this smack because he feels good about his team, and he should. And I thought they played well in the first half last year, and a couple plays here or there, and then it just falls apart for them. But I just think that they're built differently, and I think that this is going to be a monumental day in college football. Saban's streak against his disciples comes to an end. 23-0 he is against his former assistants. I think Jimbo Fisher's led for like 6 minutes the entire 4 games that he has played against Nick Saban since he's been at Alabama. So, I think we're in for a treat come October 9th.
Connor, I got to ask you about the BYU story that came out yesterday. It looks like everybody's going to be getting paid. You've got all 123 members of their program offered an endorsement deal. What that means, big picture, I think, for the big programs in college football, and what it means maybe for the smaller programs.
Yeah, strange, because we saw Miami do this a few, 2 months ago, whatever this is. This offseason's been a bit of a blur. Time is just a concept that I'm not really familiar with right now. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. I really do. And I think until the NCAA or some sort of governing body that maybe representing the best interests of college athletes comes in and says you cannot do this, we're going to see this pop up at places all over the country. And it doesn't matter if you're an institution like BYU that has these certain values where they're not even going to be playing a late night Saturday game because they don't want to be playing football on a Sunday. I think that we're going to see this all over, and it's just the beginning of this right now. And it's fascinating. I think this is only going to expand. I think that whether or not it's good for the sport, that remains to be seen. I think this is just kind of a way of an increased stipend for a lot of these kids. And, I think this is just a weird time. And even at places like BYU, to see something like this happen is just a very strange reality for this college football world in 2021.
Connor, we appreciate it, brother. Thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man. Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South, good friend of the show. We love getting him on here, and he always has great insight. I want to remind you guys to text radio to 900-900 for your chance to win the Big Friday giveaway, courtesy of our friends at Aggieland Outfitters. We're going to unveil that winner here in about an hour or so make sure you get all over it. And I've been talking about this Tommy Bahama. They have some great gear there at Aggieland Outfitters. Tommy Bahama left and right. This one, I always do the dramatic pullout. It is just, it's beautiful, lightweight. It's got the maroon colors, perfect for Aggie game days. The fabric is easy care and moisture wicking with UPF 30 protection from those UV rays out there. It's got the 2-button placket, tonal fabric piecing details, sporty stitching, beveled A&M logo embroidered on the left chest. The Tommy Bahama Marlin logo at the back of the neck is very reflective, and Fadi and the crew there have done such a great job. I mean, they started this business, 20-plus years ago, and it has grown from Post Oak Mall to all over the place. Everybody I talk to, I go to Aggieland Outfitters. Well, you should. They've got all the great stuff, and you want to make sure you get this Delray Polo valued at $118.99, the Tommy Bahama Delray Polo, $118.99. Go visit our friends at Aggieland Outfitters.
This is Aggieland's only all-sports station.
Let's play, fellas!
The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
The Bellucci Hour is back. It is back at the tap every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Join Billy Liucci of TexAgs, TexAgs.com, TexAgs Radio, and the Liucci Cast, along with Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, and Sports Director Brian Broadcasting. Monday, Thursday, 6 p.m. It's the Bellucci Hour, happy hour, and it's all thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Let the Bellucci Hour get you ready for Aggie football 2021.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Brian Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family. Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Brian Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
I'm 5'11".
Barely 5'4".
I weigh about 170 pounds.
Brown eyes. Blue eyes.
Brown hair. Gray hair. I'm a baseball fanatic.
I'm a wife. A mom. A sister.
And a grandfather.
I'm a bodybuilder.
I'm a research analyst.
Small business owner.
Teacher.
Dance fitness instructor.
Film and television actor.
I'm an office clerk.
I'm a copywriter.
I'm a veteran.
I have a prosthetic leg.
I have multiple sclerosis.
I have lupus.
Cerebral palsy.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
I'm blind.
And I'm working in a job I love.
I love.
Because I was given a chance.
Because I was given a chance.
To contribute my skills and talents.
To show my disability is only one part of who I am.
Who I am.
Who I am.
At work, it's what people can do that matters.
For more information, visit whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
The best is yet to come in College Station.
Chase Lane is in for a touchdown. Yes!
Head coach Jimbo Fisher and the Aggies are ready to rise to the top of the SEC.
Swing to Anias. He's in the end zone. A 6-yard reception.
Join us Saturday, September 4th. It's the season opener versus the Kent State Golden Flashes on your home for Aggies football, the Texas A&M Sports Network.
Listen to Aggie football on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Online at radioaggieland.com. Or tell your smart speaker to play Zone 1150.
You guys make me laugh. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. A lot of good messages on the message boards and on the text lines and on YouTube. The one that keeps catching my attention, Delta, I'm going to bring you in earlier than I thought I was, just for a quick second, and you may be able to. Did I upset Jimbo yesterday? Do you know the picture that's making the rounds?
I can't say I do.
All right. If you go to the message boards, there's when I posted my observations from yesterday's practice, there's video of the team leaving, coming through the door, and all the guys are ready, going to the practice field to get ready for practice, and Jimbo runs right by, and he gives me this look like, what are you doing here? And it made me think for a moment, maybe I wasn't supposed to be standing where I was. I'm definitely going to ask Alan, AC, if I was not in the right spot. But people have taken a picture of the screenshot of that moment, and you should take a look at it and cue it up, because it's funny. Like, and
I mean, if you were in the way, that sounds like it's your fault. Get out of the man's way. He's out there to work.
Not in the way, on the side.
I found the video evidence. It looks like you were in the way.
Not in the way. I was treating him like a paparazzi.
That looks like you're in the way.
I zoomed in. I was at least 200 yards back. I have a great camera.
You were in the way, and he's like, what is this guy doing here? I thought the guy that did this kind of thing for TexAgs was bald.
Well,
he's very confused.
Gabe is listening, for the record, sending us some messages as we do this show, so I would not talk bad about our good buddy Baldy. I mean, Gabe, at all. So something that came up, by the way, I appreciate Connor O'Gara's clarification on, I still think Isaiah is one of the top 2-3, but I understand his point of view. And one of the things that he mentioned was the fact that the offensive line, there are question marks there, and that's why he had to, maybe ding some points out there. And I get that. I am seeing these guys for the 20 minutes a day that I get to watch them, or 20 minutes 3 times a week that I get to watch them, and I'm intrigued with what I'm seeing. I'm intrigued by the size, the power, all the good stuff that we've talked about. So I understand it. But one of the things that on his list, he had the only tight end that he had was Jalen Weidermeyer. And I have to give some props there to William Sterling. He says, can we please mention that Weidermeyer and Anias Smith, 2 guys that were on this list, by the way, were 3-star players and now are being ranked as some of the best players in all of college football. Jimbo consistently sees what others don't. Appreciate that, William. And I think that is a point. I think that is a great point. The other thing I'll say is, not only does he see things that others don't, develops, seizes the opportunity. These are 2 different things, or there are several different things. I think all coaches do this, but they don't. The recruiting rankings and whatnot, people put those out there, fine. But if Jimbo sees a fit for his offense, a fit for his defense, he goes and gets it, regardless of what other people put a number on it. That's part of it. The other part is he sees their value in different ways, just like with Eli at tight end, right? He's seeing Sauer's value in a way that he can help out that tight end group. He is getting the most out of Anaya Smith in different places. He is developing players that were considered a 3-star, playing at a 5-star level, NFL draft first round level. And that's where a lot of the props need to go for Jimbo. He has just done such a great job there. This question on the A&B text line coming in from Ben from Tomball. Will Aggieland be 100% open to tailgate for game days this season? And I believe that goes back to what Tori was talking about earlier, that's the game plan, right? The game plan is to be 100% open. We got to see what this Delta thing does and how the numbers continue to go up or down, and how the SEC and universities and whatnot do get scared if the numbers start going worse than they are right now. But in my opinion, we're going to be 100% open. We're going to have a rocking crowd there for Kent State. There's going to be tailgating. It's going to feel like old school. Some people are still going to be masking it up. I know at the schools, some people are going to mask it up, some aren't. But that's just where we are. And at the end of the day, I feel like the SEC, who were the leaders in this last year, will continue to be the leaders of this last year.
Was that last year or last year?
Last year.
Okay.
How did I say it, by the way, that time? You can be very honest with me.
That was pretty last year. That's why I said something.
Really? Last year?
You rolled it.
Gosh. You know why? Do you know why? It's because I learned 2 languages when I was born, okay?
Expose him.
I learned 2 languages, okay?
All right, easy, Tony Montana.
It doesn't really sound like Tony, to be honest with you.
That's what you're going for, though.
It's just, I've got like 3 accents. One's my Batman accent that I do at the end of segments sometimes, like, where's Dalton.com? And I got my Latino accent that I make it extra thick. And that's about it. That's all I got for you. Don't have a British one. I've tried. I've worked on it. Can't do it. I'm not gifted with the voices out there. All right, we're going to continue the dialogue here and your text messages. If you want to call in, we do got an open segment, 979-693-1150 here. The BCSI Associates hotline, the A&B text line. I got something to get into there as well, 979-693-1150. I do want to ask you guys, the question that I started the day off with is it a one-game season for Texas A&M? I don't believe it is. I'll give you my reasons, but I do think the magnitude of that game on October 9th, if you keep it, if you win, you still got to go win way more games afterwards. That's just early part of the season. If you lose that game, how you lose that game, to me, is going to be a big talking point as the season rolls out. But we can talk about that, 979-693-1150. You're listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Life Point Christian Church is hosting a community event on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Free food, clothing, and toiletries will be available for those in need. Find the event on Facebook for more information. Living with Grief is a 13-week grief share program for those who have suffered the loss of a loved one. It starts Sunday. Call Bethel Lutheran Church for more information. The Elizabeth